Hello and welcome here to Talk SCB, and welcome here to the final match of the season, but in particular the final match of Andres Iniesta. He will play his final ever game on Sunday at the Camp Nou against Real Sociedad, and we are going to be looking back over a phenomenal career of one of the game's true great players, and we are also going to be looking ahead to this Barça versus Sociedad game. Let's do this. As always guys, the videos here coming to you courtesy of the OneFootball app, which you can find in the description down below. 87% of OneFootball app users believe that Barcelona will give Iniesta the perfect send-off against Sociedad tomorrow, and likewise in my own poll, I think the feeling is that the players will come together, give a really good display to see off what is an absolute legend in Iniesta. Kickoff will be coming to us at 8:45 local time in Barcelona at the Camp Nou. Here are the times, guys, right around the world where you are, because I tell you now, you will not want to miss this game. Obviously, the season has been and gone, nothing to play for in terms of points, but we want to give this man an absolutely perfect send-off, and I really do hope tomorrow the Camp Nou is packed full, because as you can see here, Barca are planning something very, very special to wave farewell to Don Andres Iniesta, and I absolutely hope there's a lot of people there. Get that tifo going. We want to see that around the Camp Nou, giving him a fantastic goodbye message. Because like I say, this isn't about our season, this isn't about Valverde or the team, this isn't about anything that has come before this moment. This game tomorrow is simply about one man and one man only, and he really does deserve the absolute best from us, the players and the fans. We want to give it to him. And of course, like I say guys, I want to take a look back now at Iniesta's career at Barcelona, his career as a Spanish international, and his career really, which has been an absolutely sensational time for football. He's made 674 appearances for Barcelona since making his league debut way back now in 2002, and he has made a huge 129 appearances also for his country, that is of course Spain, and during that time he has taken part in what is the most successful period of Barcelona's history, and also in the most successful period of the Spanish national team for the Spanish football team, and that is huge. That is no coincidence that Iniesta at his prime has taken part in those two teams in their most successful period ever. You are looking right now at one of the greatest players this club has ever seen. You are looking at one of the greatest midfielders the world has ever seen, and you are looking at one of the most decorated players in the entire history of this sport. To put all that into summary, and just to look now at the trophies that Iniesta has won in his time at Barcelona and internationally, he has won 4 Champions League titles, playing a really key role in each and every one of them, along with 3 UEFA Super Cup titles and also 3 Club World Cup titles in the process. And then domestically, he has orchestrated Barca's dominance now in Spain over Real Madrid, over what is now the last decade or so. 9 La Liga titles in that time. He really has been phenomenal in the Spanish top flight, along with 6 Copa del Rey titles as well in his time, and of course this season securing the league double in his final ever year. 7 Spanish Super Cup titles as well, and that is even before we discussed the international honours, which are also off the scale from Andres Iniesta. Winner of course and goal scorer of that sensational winning goal in the 2010 World Cup final against Holland. A magical moment for Spain. He brought the entire country together. Nearly every stadium he's visited now in La Liga, he gets that standing ovation. A colossal part of Spain winning their first ever World Cup. That was an incredible moment. He was also an integral part of that Spain team who won 2 successive European Championship trophies. Really phenomenal football as well in the time. He was orchestrating that midfield alongside Xavi, alongside Busquets. It really was a phenomenal time for football, and of course that list would yet grow even further as Iniesta will head to the World Cup this summer for the final time with Spain, and you certainly wouldn't rule out him adding to his stunning collection of trophies as a player so far. And don't forget really that Iniesta hasn't just been around to pick up these trophies. He's not been on the bench, he's not been watching from afar as his teams have gone on to win these kind of honours. He is the beating heart of these teams, and that is about his contribution on the field. It is no coincidence that both Barca and Spain dominance coincides really with this man being heavily involved in their teams. The beating heart of that midfield, the beating heart of that creativity, And like I say, Iniesta remains the only player in history to be named man of the match in the World Cup final, the European Championship final, and also the Champions League final. The only player in history ever to do those things. And that, for me, is the only stat worth discussing. Because, you can throw around numbers, you can talk about players' goals, their assists, their record in terms of statistical numbers, but that is not how you judge an influence on the field from those kind of areas. You do that by watching them play the game week in, week out. Watching that elegance, that brilliance, that magnificence. And if you have watched Iniesta for a consistent period over these last 16 years where he has really come to fruition, you will have fallen in love with him as a footballer. One of the most gifted and influential players that we have ever seen. Thank you, Andres Iniesta. And believe me, of course, since Iniesta made the announcement that he would be leaving Barcelona come the end of the season, the tributes have been in massively right around the world from influential figures, not only in football, but in the entire world as a whole. Barcelona have released the following shirts with the slogan, Infinite Iniesta, as in Iniesta's legacy will live on at this club forever. And as you can see here, Iniesta's 8 has basically been rotated to make the infinity symbol on the shirt, and that is a nice touch indeed from the club. Barça also held an event last night to celebrate Iniesta and his career, and the guest list for that party really was impressive. The first team attended, the coaches attended, along with many names really, right throughout the history of our club so far, and it was a great event really that I'm sure Iniesta really enjoyed, seeing his career pan out like that, seeing his colleagues really coming in and taking in the occasion with him. Although, to be honest, it was a bit of a sad one too. It was difficult to sit there, look at all those moments, and then realise this is sadly where it all stops. And it did actually get too much. Xavi and ANDRES, of all people, actually shedding a tear during the ceremony, and rightly so. Barcelona have released several videos in the build-up to that, following that, basically, with montages on social media about his highlights of his career, and during the event as well, with interviews with key figures around the world. And just speaking, basically, about the person that Iniesta is, the values, really, that he has brought to this club and brought to this sport. And like I say, it's great to look back on, it's great to have these memories, and it is at the same time very sad to know that after tomorrow we will never be seeing Iniesta in a competitive Barcelona match again wearing that Barcelona shirt, and that really does hurt. Deep down, a special player, a key figure in our history, and one that we will sadly miss. And with that, we will now move on to the actual game tomorrow, which, as we know, apart from Iniesta, doesn't really hold much importance for either team. We won the league now a few weeks ago. Everything has been signed, sealed and delivered, and Real Sociedad as well really aren't playing for anything either, although they will also be saying goodbye to a club legend of their own. Xavi Prieto will be officially retiring from football after this match, so my very best go out to him as well. And here now we will look at the squad that Ernesto Valverde has selected to face Real Sociedad tomorrow. And it is pretty much as we would have expected really from Ernesto Valverde, naming pretty much all the available players that he does have at his disposal tomorrow. The only exclusions here from this squad is Paulinho, who's basically been given the rest of the season off. He's played a lot of football, didn't really have a break in pre-season. He has been given this game off. And also Sergi Roberto, not included in the squad. This is his third game of his 4-game suspension. Barcelona appealed that. It was turned down, and they might actually now take it to the Court of Arbitration of Sport, and it'll be interesting to see the outcome on that verdict. But this is the team that I think tomorrow we will see from Ernesto Valverde. I think he's going to go very strong. Obviously, Iniesta is going to start the game. I wouldn't expect him to complete the 90 minutes. I think he'll be taken off about 60-70 minutes in and given, of course, a wonderful ovation from the Camp Nou faithful. But I think Ter Stegen, Alba, Umtiti, Piqué, Umtiti coming back in, seems to have recovered now from his injury. You've got Semedo on the right, of course, in place of Sergi Roberto. Busquets, Iniesta and Rakitic, a very solid midfield, and of course Iniesta in that midfield for the final time. And then up front, Suarez, Messi and the very much in-form Coutinho making up that front three. I think this is the most likely lineup that Ernesto Valverde will go with for the final game of the season. And my prediction for this match is going to be Barcelona 3, Real Sociedad 1, and I think it would be absolutely incredible. Of course, he doesn't score all that often, but just like in the Copa del Rey final, Iniesta that night was a man on a mission. It would be great if he could sign off and really complete his Barcelona legacy with a goal in his final game and then walk off the field to what will be an earthquake of noise to salute this magician. So I'll see you tomorrow, guys, for Iniesta's farewell match. Leave your thoughts on the fantastic player that we've seen over many, many years now at the club down below. Let me know your thoughts on Iniesta and let me know your thoughts on this game. I will see you then. But until then, as always, Vesca el Barça!